Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom, your guide to extraordinary weddings and events. I'm your host, Ashley Miner, and we're here to share expert insights and inspiring stories. Let's dive into the art of creating unforgettable moments. Okay, hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom. You guys are the very first guests of the podcast. Thank you for being willing to be the first guinea pig.
Yeah, thank you. Only go up from here.
Possibly.
We appreciate
Possibly, we hope. For everyone who does not know, these are our guests from Cooper's Ridge. We have Brandi, one of the owners, and Kristen, who's the general manager. Instead of me trying to do my best to intro you and tell a little bit about yourselves, why don't you guys do that yourselves?
Cool. Great. You want to start? Sure. Okay. So I'm Kristen, like you said. And I have been at Cooper's Ridge now since 2020. I came on board. Well, am I introing myself or Cooper's Ridge?
Yourself.
I'm sorry, let me understand the question first. Okay, before I monologue about myself.
No.
Monologue. So I came on board summer of 2020, part-time, and then came on full-time that fall, and just kind of have grown and evolved with Cooper's Ridge the past few years, and now I'm kind of in this GM role. I handle a lot of our sales tours, so any couple or potential client that wants to tour the venue, kind of all of that communication, as well as communication with vendors, and I do social media and a little bit of the day-to-day stuff as well. So a little bit of everything. And yeah, it's kind of me and my role in a nutshell.
Nice.
Anything prior to that? Do you want to know our history before that?
Yeah.
How far back?
Sure.
When were you born?
So I was born.
Give us the time that you were born.
Yes.
Everything.
I think it was 5:30 p.m. I have a background in wedding and event planning and coordination. So prior to Cooper's Ridge, I worked at another venue as their in-house coordinator. It was a couple years prior to coming on board here. And have worked with an event planner kind of in that capacity. And that's what I went to school for. So that's kind of my background. And I love weddings. And it's kind of my bread and butter. I like to be here on wedding days at Cooper's Ridge. So, yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Okay.
Who are you?
Who am I? I am Brandi Huebner, and I'm a co-owner of Cooper's Ridge, and I got here in a strange series of things. My background was not in events, wedding planning, but here I am. So I think I could maybe say I'm a bit of a serial entrepreneur. I've done some other things. I'm a licensed esthetician, so I had a business as an esthetician for a bit, and then did some part-time work for some other people in that industry. Then I owned a health food store in Columbia, which was where I was when this opportunity presented itself. So we opened here at Cooper's Ridge in 2018. So that was right when I came on, was right before we opened with First Events, and really just got thrown in and learned it as we went. Again, no history in there, but a lot of the previous lives of careers that I've had taught me of things that I knew how to do, and putting processes and procedures into place and contracts and things like that to really get going. And I just felt like almost all of the experience that I had leading up to this was what has really helped me to help this business grow. So, yeah. Anything else? Is that good?
No, that was great.
That's it? All right.
So, okay, so you said Cooper started in 2018. How did that all come about? Give us the history of the property.
Of the property since we've owned it?
Since the beginning.
Or since God created it? Or
Since God created it, please.
Actually,
I don't
where
know how
Adam and Eve got their start.
Yes. Perfect.
right here in Boonville, Missouri. Well, the property itself, it used to be many things. It was owned by the Seekmans. Before the last thing that it was before we purchased it was even probably 20 years ago. This building that we're in now was a furniture factory. But the property has also been used. There's still some pecan and walnut trees on. Part of it had peach trees on it. So it's been used for a lot of things over the years. one, it got purchased by us. Sean and Kelly McCulligan are our business partners, and that was really them. My husband and I weren't involved at the time, but they purchased the property and kind of had the vision for what this could be, what the property could become. And Sean spent about a year and a half redoing this whole property, putting in parking lots, infrastructures, redoing this whole building basically from the studs up with the intent of that. So like I said, it wasn't until right before we opened mid-2018 for our first events that I came on, and then I was involved more in helping with the processes and procedures and contracts. But the vision was really the McCulligans, so I have to credit them for that, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So my first wedding out here was 2019, fall of 2019.
Remember.
And it's crazy to even think about how far the property has come since then, 4 years ago. Almost 4.5 years ago,
Right.
And to think that there was even a life before that. I mean, talk about all of the things that you guys have done to this property to get it to the point that it is now. Because as I tell my clients all the time, if you want an all-in-one venue, that is Cooper's. They have bridal quarters, groom's quarters, a ceremony site, a reception site, on-site bar, all the things. It really is all in one, and that is very rare in mid-Missouri. You'll have pieces of the puzzle, but not all of it. So, but it obviously didn't start that way. So,
Right.
Yep.
I mean, talk about kind of the evolution of
If you
the
want to
property.
speak to like 2018, 2019,
Yeah,
I
where
can
we
then
went.
jump in.
Yeah.
So when we had those first weddings in 2018, the property wasn't finished yet. The landscaping outside wasn't done. The ceremony site wasn't put in. We were carrying chairs down to the pond down there. It was kind of more primitive. I think we had 8 weddings that year, 6 or 8 weddings that first year.
And you probably felt amazing with those 6 or 8.
It was great.
It's like, oh my gosh, we're doing it.
Yes, and it was just learning, and our motto is to pivot. Like that first year into 2019, it was write the contract, rewrite the contract every weekend, and we need to rewrite the contract again, and just learning what works and what doesn't work. So starting with that, then 2019, early spring, we did all of the outside landscaping, put in the ceremony site, put in the bocce ball court, and then also finished the inside, which by adding these barn sliders too, we did that. And then it was just kind of watching that first year of watching things go. During that time in 2019, we also remodeled the bridal suite. It was definitely somebody's grandmother's home before we started. So putting in new floors, painting, cabinetry, things like that, getting that converted from a home into the bridal suite. And then from there, we've redone our ceremony site once, then we redid our ceremony site again. We've redone our benches twice, and we've been open for 5.5 years. Do you want to speak to our latest project?
Yeah, our huge project was 2022. We revamped an old outbuilding on the property, and that now houses the groom quarters that we have. So it was a kind of dilapidated shed type structure, for lack of a better
Can
word.
confirm. Very
It
scary.
leaked. There was no like HVAC system in there. We were using that building as storage, but everything had to be stored in Rubbermaid tubs because the roof leaked.
It was so great.
It was we were making do, but we just saw a lot of potential with that space. So February of 2022, we basically took that building down to the studs and redid it. Much kind of like how Sean redid this space and it became the venue. So it now houses our brand new Decor Showroom. It houses the groom suite, which we call the Coupe, which it's gotten a lot of use both on wedding days and for smaller events as well, which has been fun. And now we have a climate controlled storage space too for tables and chairs and decor and things like that. So that we finished in August of that year. So that was a huge months-long project that was really exciting. We're happy to have
I
that.
will say, as a planner, one of my favorite things that was added, obviously, is the coupe. I think the groom's quarters are amazing. I think it's a perfect small event space for things like bridal showers, baby showers, networking meetings. I think it's just such a cool space. But one of my favorite things is the sidewalk that goes all the way from the bridal suite to the showroom to storage to the groom suite. It just makes a world of difference from a planner's perspective.
Yeah.
It helps us.
Thank you
so much. My pleasure. It helped us a lot too, because just logistically, when we're moving things back and forth from building to building, tables, chairs, things, we have wagons that we pull things in, and to be able to use that sidewalk is just, it's helpful. To roll things along. So
I tell brides it doesn't matter what shoes they're wearing on wedding day. They don't have to walk across the gravel parking lot if they don't want to.
Oh my gosh. And I can't even tell you how many brides I have helped across the parking lot with stiletto heels going over gravel. Not ideal. Thank the Lord.
No more.
So you kind of touched on it, but you guys have a decor showroom. What does that really, what is that?
Yeah. So we have offered that since the beginning at Cooper's Ridge, and have just kind of, it's evolved and changed over the years, and we have a lot of different items available to rent. It gets utilized more so for weddings. That we have been told and have seen that that's a very big selling point for a lot of our couples, to kind of add to the one-stop shop. There's decor here that they can use, that they don't have to haul all of their stuff out here. They don't have to figure out how to sell stuff on Facebook Marketplace after their wedding. That's the huge one, I think. But there's a huge variety of items. Our goal with that space is no matter what kind of the vibes or the aesthetic of their wedding is, there's going to be pieces in there that can work for their wedding or for their event. It gets used for all types of events that happen out here. But we now have a showroom space with the addition of that new building that houses all of the decor. It's all out on the shelves, so you can see every single item that we have. And there's a table in there that's identical to the ones in the venue too. So that allows our couples and our clients to book a time to come out, try stuff out on the tables. They can take pictures of exactly how they want their table set up to look, which makes decorating day of.
Please do that.
So
all
helpful.
delay event clients, please do this.
Literally hand your person a picture and be like, make every table look like this.
Yes.
So I always encourage that.
I would say on the decor front, it is so much better now that we have a showroom and it's in a climate controlled and the pieces can be out. It evolved from being in, all of the main pieces were in that storage area that leaked and rained. And so we had the garage to the bridal suite where we could have 2 or 3 pieces in there for that same kind of purpose. But when we were hauling things in and out, it was a logistical nightmare, making sure that there's always some in here and the rest is in tubs. And I said at one point, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? Because it's really not a big moneymaker for us. It's very inexpensive to rent our decor. And I'm like, is it worth all of this headache? And when I realized that I think one couple in 8 bajillion weddings didn't use it, it is such a selling point. I think it's part of what sets us apart from other venues. So it's just a thing that we put up with. And like I said, it's a lot easier now, but it is such a huge selling point for us that it really makes it worth doing for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think a cool thing that you guys do too is, if you have a couple or a client, whatever, who has something really cool, you do go to them and you're like, hey, would you want to sell that to us after your wedding? Because really, what are they going to do with it?
Yeah.
Most of them list it on Facebook. So if you can just leave it at the venue after your wedding, that is golden. I will say my clients, every single client that we've ever had here, which is, what number are we at, Kristen?
We're at 30.
I think we're at 30. 30 clients over the last 4 years. At this venue alone, I think every single one of them has at least used one piece.
Something.
And it is so inexpensive. What, $100?
Starts at $100.
Yeah.
The key with that is it's based on item numbers. So you're not having to pay, if you want 14 lanterns, you're not renting. There's not a price for each of those lanterns.
Right.
So we've assigned each thing an item number. And so you get a lot more bang for your buck that way. And once I explain that, usually during the sales tour, it's like, oh, wow, we can get so much stuff. And that's kind of where it becomes that selling piece that Brandi mentioned.
Yeah, I always use the example when I'm touring people that, like those big round gold mirrors that we have. If you can take all 20 of the mirrors that we have, and that's just one item of your $100, those mirrors are $25 a piece if you're going to go purchase them. And so you way made up for just in buying that, and then you don't have to figure out what to do with it at the end of your wedding. Right?
Yeah. So you guys are kind of always adding things in there. What are we adding this year?
It's a good question.
I was just going to say, that's a great question because we haven't done our usual kind of shopping adventure that we usually have.
Right. It's been busy.
We did add a lot more pieces throughout this past year than we usually would during the year, mostly because we had a lot of couples that brought really cool things for their weddings that we wanted to add to our space. So, I don't know. Do you have anything off the top of your head that you really want?
I leave that up to, that's something that I would probably come to you with when we're ready to do that, and come to our favorite planners and say, hey, what are you seeing? What's trending this year? We also, Kristen probably knows the best of what's being used. So what have we not rented out in the last year that we can get rid of and open up some space? Because right now we're on full. And so if we want to bring new things in, we have to get rid of some things. And decide what's not really getting rented, what's not on trend anymore, and then find out what is. I think that's when we did our last big purchase we talked with you about. That's when we had a lot of gold, those gold round mirrors and the black lanterns, thing like that. So, this past year we really just spent more time looking at what was already coming through the venue, to see. So
well, I happen to know one really big purchase that you just made that's going to make a huge impact in that room. And that is the new chairs.
Yes.
Yay.
So if you
Secrets out.
Oops.
You're right. They should have been here in November, so it's really shouldn't be a secret.
I was just about to ask you, where are those chairs?
This would have been perfect if they had been on the porch, so we could hold one up.
They've been in the ocean. They've been in the ocean for a long time, and they did reach the distributor that we're getting them from this week, and so they said it's usually. They were at port, I guess, and they should be at the distributor this week, and then they should be to us within a week. But I'm kind of tired of holding my breath, but they should be here soon. They should be here.
So you're going from a white folding chair, a nice wood white padded chair, which has done the trick for the last.
Yeah, the ones we have are like the PVC type,
like a resin.
So, resin.
And now we're going to a wood,
a solid wood. The color of that is, we went with I think it's natural or a beautiful cloverback chair, sandstone. I cannot wait. I think that having the upgraded chair and the light color of that against our dark wood tables, it's just going to be such an upgrade to the back of the space. And I know that because we have had a wedding once in 2019 that rented those same chairs from a local company, and so we took all of our chairs out and put them in, and it was just gorgeous. So I'm super
just totally
excited.
Transformed the space.
It really did.
And
took it up a notch.
Yeah, we're excited for the chairs to elevate the look of the reception space.
Nice. So speaking of elevating, I mean, I've asked you about the history of the property, all that fun stuff. What's next? I mean, you just got done with the renovation of the warehouse into the coop and all of those things. What's next? Chairs.
I kind of just wanted to poke her in the eye right now when she said that. Mostly, the chairs were our big purchase.
I mean, we always have something up our sleeve, actually.
I'm trying to get the dirt.
We always want to improve. I mean, the chairs are going to be the big thing for this year because that was a huge expense. But really, I would like to run our business for a minute and see, we're, again, like you said, there's always something up our sleeve. We're always listening. The coop came about because when we would tour the bridal suite, people would ask, well, where did the guys get ready? And they got ready in this space. I'm like, they like to be close to the bar. They don't require a lot of, hair and makeup. So they were happy. And that answer was acceptable. But because I kept hearing that question getting asked, I'm like, this is what I think is the next reasonable space, thing to do, because one, no one else in our area has a space like that. And it seemed like a need that we could meet. So constantly listening to our clients about what they're asking, just even if they're not saying that they don't like something or they wish we had something, just hearing what's asked and So we've made a lot of changes at the end of this last year. I guess it was midway through the year. We upgraded our benches at the ceremony site. I personally would like to at some point maybe do something different with the arbor. It's difficult because it would be fun to switch out, but that's kind of something that we're known for. When people see that in a picture, when they see that in a picture, then they really love it. We added a new fountain this past year. So now,
why did you have to add the fountain, Brandi?
Why did we have to add the fountain?
Do you want to talk about the morning of dead fish?
It was prior to that.
Strike that from the record. Strike that from the record.
No dead fish have ever been at Cooper's Ridge.
The fountain was already here when that happened. Too much air.
So much good it did.
Listen, you have to do things. Do you not know this as a business owner? You have to do things that you have to do all the things. You have to clean the toilets when the cleaning people don't show up. You have to stand on the bar and clean the lamps. You have to get up in the rafters and whatever dumb things we do, including scooping dead fish from a pond on the morning of a wedding. Got to do it all.
Heroes, true heroes. Okay, well, consider this my official, what's it called? When someone wants to have something, ballot?
Yeah.
Maybe ballot. I am going to lobby for a indoor chapel space on the back of the property.
I knew that was coming.
I've only been asking for 4 years.
Are you going to start a GoFundMe page?
Yeah, podcast and YouTube listeners, please chip in.
We'll start selling ad space or something.
Yeah.
Every $4 counts.
It does. It does.
If I could add anything to this space, that's what it would be. An indoor ceremony space. Because, obviously Missouri weather is wild. You guys have an outdoor ceremony space. So let's just talk about that. What happens if there is crazy weather? You have an outdoor ceremony space. They have been banking on having their ceremony here.
Let's start with how many weddings have we had to move inside because of a rain plan?
That is my favorite. We're over 160 weddings. I'm not sure what number we're at exactly. But in over 160 weddings, we've moved, I believe, 3 at this point inside because of rain.
And all of them have been Delight Events weddings.
It's you. I think you're the problem. But how we kind of approach that, because it is Missouri and the weather is completely unpredictable. Case in point, we had 3 outdoor weddings in December this past year. That's crazy town.
Yes.
So you just never know. I always tell couples you can't write off any month of the year because you never know what it's going to do. As good or bad.
In Missouri, it's not always the rain or the snow. It could be crazy wind. We had an October wedding that we had to move inside here because the wind was blowing the bride's veil off.
Yeah. So I am always very transparent with couples about the possibility of the weather not cooperating because that's the reality. So we're very upfront about what backup options we have right off the bat when they come to tour. So because I want everyone to be comfortable with those options and not just say, oh, we'll worry about that when it starts raining because no one's going to be happy in that scenario. So we have a couple options that we do. A lot of it depends on the guest count. So for 150 or less, we can accommodate that amount of guests on the patio space. We've got an outdoor covered patio, which can be totally enclosed. It's a year-round space for us. So we have done several November, December weddings on the patio with the space closed in, or just a couple weddings where it was drizzly weather where we could still be outside. We just needed to be covered. So that's an option. We've also done several where we do what's called an Oscar-style ceremony. So all of the guests are seated at their reception tables. We move the couple's head table out of the way. And then that option brings people, I think, a lot of peace of mind, just knowing that there's a quick pivot option. So even if it's 5 minutes before the bride's supposed to walk down the aisle and a hurricane blows in out of nowhere, we can easily get the guests inside, seated, and move on with the ceremony pretty quickly. So we've done that as well.
I think that's one of the nice things about being out here. Yes, it is all inclusive, but you can quickly pivot here. You don't require a couple to have an answer for you about a rain plan at 11 a.m. If they want to call it at 4:45 and their ceremony's at 5, then so be it. It's okay. You can quickly pivot. But I will put a little tidbit for myself in there that it also helps when you have a planner because
So much.
then it's
100%.
not
So much.
just landing on
Everyone
your
should
team.
have a planner every time,
Yes.
all the time.
Okay, but why?
But
so
why?
now I'm not trying to feed myself
You should,
business. Am I? But for real, I mean, we've had this talk. We're friends, so
Numerous
we're not
times.
just
Yep.
like colleagues that work together every once in a while. I've known Brandi for
I don't know.
20
You were-
years,
Yeah, probably.
something like that. When I was just a baby child and T was an actual baby.
Yeah.
Actually,
Baby.
But I mean, you guys have done a lot of weddings with and without planners. Like, why is it beneficial for your clients specifically to have them? Because you have someone on site at all times.
Yeah.
You're not a give the keys and walk away kind of a venue.
No.
Yep.
I think the main thing that I would say for that is because people don't know what they don't know. And they think that they got it, or they want to have it, or they think they have someone that does it. But if there's so much detail that goes into what you do to make a day run smooth that it just doesn't even make sense to not have one. And by the time people realize that they don't know what they don't know, it's
too
kind
late.
of too late. And
Yep.
so we always recommend at the very least a day of planner to help the day go smooth. And we try to put things in place for those people who don't do that to help on our end to help their day to go smooth. But it just helps us so much to have a planner there, have something explained to them that they may not have even thought of, that they didn't know, that they didn't even know. So
Piggybacking off of that, I think when a couple does not have a planner, not only all of the things that Brandi mentioned, but a lot of people just think, oh, my mom can do that. Oh,
Yeah.
my dad can do that. And it's not until I say, hey, I think moms and dads deserve to get to be a guest and enjoy the wedding day too, that they realize, oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff to be done that would take them away from this moment. They probably don't want to be cleaning up our decor in their, gown at the end of the night, So I have kind of had that conversation with a lot of couples where they realize, oh, yeah, that's a lot to ask of one person who wants to be present for their child's wedding day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, when I was first starting out at Delight, Brandi, you let me pick up some shifts out here just to do venue management and stuff and see how things go on the venue side. And, it would break my heart as a planner, and I'm sure it does yours too, because you're a planner too,
Yeah.
to see these moms in their gowns at the end of the night picking up. And that's just so unfair, I think, to, your family. You want to be able to soak in every moment and enjoy it and not have to worry about, oh my gosh, is our car packed? Is this happening? Is this not happening? Whatever. And there is some level of that at the end of the night. I mean, we're usually the ones putting gifts and decor and things in the mom and dad's car, but it's nice for them to say goodbye to their guests and not have to worry about it.
yeah.
And even throughout the day, just managing vendor arrival time or drop-offs. You don't want to have to be over there getting ready and then in the back of your mind think, is the cake here yet? Who's going to put the cake topper on the cake? Where's the DJ setting up? Does he know where he's going?
In the
There's
middle of
just
family
10
photos.
million things. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, not fun. So you guys you're getting close to 200 weddings, it sounds
Yeah.
like. So if you could see, and Kristen, I asked this on social media, and you had some good answers, so I'm excited to hear them. But if you guys could see anything happen here, budget aside, in terms of someone's wedding or event, what would you want to see here?
You just said a good one. What did you
I
say?
did say a good one. We recently had like an Indian American fusion wedding out here. That was
Which was
really
so
cool.
fun.
And I would love to see more of that kind of
Just
cultural
different cultures,
diversity.
yeah.
Just different really cool things to learn about. Not all of our weddings are the same, but they're from the same culture, and I would just love to see what other different cultures experience and have some of that differing culture in
Yeah.
there. You said some great fun things.
Yeah,
Just
I have so many fun things. A lot of them were dessert related because I guess that's where my brain is. But I think there's a lot of cool stuff. What I always tell our couples is there's no rules. We're at a point where it's about you, it's about your story. There are no rules, and there's a lot of fun ways that you can kind of honor tradition in a lot of ways, but make it your own. So like one of those, if you don't want to just have a giant cake and cut the cake and serve it to all your guests. A fun trend I've started seeing is either individual cakes at each place setting, which I think is so fun. And we
love that.
So many fabulous dessert vendors in this area that would love to do that. You could even like customize them with your guest names. I love that. I've also seen on like TikTok and Pinterest, of course, where all my inspiration.
Yes, of course.
But having like a more medium-sized cake and each table has a cake. So then part of you cutting your little cake with your spouse is all of your guests cutting into a cake at their table. And I think that's a fun way to include your guests on something that it honors tradition, but it's looking at it differently and kind of making it your own. Bounce houses. I'm a big bounce house fan. I love a wedding bounce house. I will say, get wedding day insurance if you do that, because it never hurts.
I will be on that bounce house for sure.
I also, just while we're thinking outside the box, it'd be super fun for like a helicopter send off. I don't know.
Ooh.
I'd love to see something crazy or a hot air balloon. There's just so many cool and crazy things.
How about a bride and groom skydiving in?
Yeah, love it.
We have land for it. We've got the space.
We have
for it.
38 acres, so there's a ton of possibility out here.
Let's do it.
I'm just all about the crazy, cool, like make it personal to you.
On that note, let me tell you just a quick little fun story of something different that we did have once.
Sure.
Gosh, this was had to be 2019 as
It
well.
was, because it was right before me, I think.
We had a couple ask us, they're always, can we do fireworks? Can we do just different things, sparkler send-offs?
Yeah.
So this particular couple asked if they could do, if they could shoot off an anvil right after the vows were said. And we're like, do a what? So I believe it was her uncle or her grandfather. Someone in her family was a world champion anvil shooter. So an anvil, like the thing that falls on Wile E. Coyote, right?
Yeah. Okay.
An anvil, a big heavy thing. So they set it on the ground on this platform thing, and they blow it off, and it goes straight up. So in a competition, it's to go straight up, and you want it to go as high as it can go, but come back down as close to where it left the ground or something.
Okay.
There's some competition in that, but nonetheless, this is what they wanted to do. So they went in the field across the pond behind the ceremony site, and after the I do's, this gigantic explosion happened. The anvil went in the air. Nobody was even hurt, which was a miracle, but everything inside of this bar shook. It was so loud.
Gosh.
It was that loud, and it happened way out in the field. So that was fun. We've never had that. Was a fun story of something that you don't typically hear happening
At a wedding.
at a wedding ceremony.
Well,
More of that. We want more of that.
More fun
More
things.
anvils.
More anvils. Yeah, I'm gonna have to YouTube that later. I have no clue what that
you
is.
should.
But
It's
also, what a
interesting.
random hobby. Like,
Yeah. Who
Okay.
knew? Who knew?
cool. The things that people are into.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys are conveniently located right across from the Budweiser Clydesdales.
Yeah.
And that's always an option for people to actually rent a Clydesdale to come over.
Yes, for photos.
Yeah, we have a client doing that this year, and I'm very
Yay.
excited.
September, right? Yeah.
So I'm excited. I hope he brings some beer with him just on this side. Have you guys seen those little
Gosh.
like
a beer donkey.
Yeah, I was going to say a margarita donkey,
Or
but
margarita
it
donkey.
could be a beer Clydesdale.
Clydesdale.
So they dress these little donkeys up, and
Is
then
this
they have
in Mexico?
it's Texas.
Texas.
Okay. Texaco.
Where everything's bigger is in Texas. And it has a saddle on it, and then they put, Topo
beverages.
Chico
Yeah.
or whatever on the side of the saddle. Seems fun.
Okay.
Just grab a beer from the donkey.
We'll give the donkey a safe bartending course and get it certified.
Great. Okay, we're talking about the bar a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your bar that we're sitting right in front of.
She's a beaut.
Yeah. So you guys handle the bar in-house. Really, what does that look like? Because there's 40 million bottles on here
Yeah.
of all the things. I don't drink. I don't know what anything is.
Sure.
I tell our couples, I'll let you speak on this too, but I always tell our couples to kind of think of us like a venue and a bar combined, which is different from a lot of venues in general and in this area too. But I can speak more on that, or
Yeah.
you want to
well,
talk about that?
I think a part of it, I feel like I need to look at it. I know it's back there, but I feel like I should look at it. A part of it was the flexibility of it, what we wanted to be able to offer our guests. Myself and my husband, Sean and Kelly, both we don't like to go to an event where there's just kind of a small bar and your choices are these, this one whiskey, this one.
Right.
And it's very limited, I guess.
Or even
because,
two.
Or even two.
Right.
But we like what we like, right? And we
Right.
want to have options. And we want to make it flexible for our clients. So the reason that we have the full bar, one, we do other events outside of, and we offer happy hours and things like that as a venue. But for our clients, we want the bar to be flexible in that they have the option to do either just a cash bar where their guests are going to pay, or they can do a host bar. And if they choose, which is the norm, to do a host bar, not mandatory, it just happens to be the norm. People want to provide something. There's full flexibility in what they can offer here. So they can set a maximum spend. This is what our budget's going to be. We're not going to go over this dollar amount. So we don't do the cost per head. We do consumption. So whatever they're drinking goes on a tab, and they pay that at the end of the night. So they're not paying for more than what they're actually consumed. Mm-hmm. And so if they say we want to spend, $5,000 on the bar, then we ask, what do you want that to include? It can be just beer and wine. You can choose beer, wine, and call cocktails, or a signature cocktail, or a his and hers cocktail. You can really make it what you want. The least you include, the farther your budget's going to go. So the great thing is, to having everything here on site, we don't have to just order in just what they want for their wedding and figure out every time how much are they going to drink and are we going to have enough or are we going to run out. We're fully stocked all the time. So that doesn't become an issue. And then if they say we want to offer beer, wine, and this one signature cocktail, but somebody wants one of our top shelf bourbons, they can still get that. Mm-hmm. So the host couple is only paying for the things that they want to include, but the guests have everything available to them that they want. So it's kind of a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. I would say your bar is really an experience for your guests. Mm-hmm. Just in general, I would say that to any client, but that is very, very true here, because there have been plenty of times where I've seen a guest walk up and say, oh my gosh, you have the thing, whiskey, I don't know, anything. Oh my gosh, I've only seen that at XYZ place. Yeah. What is it a pour? Mm-hmm. And you have everything from $9 a pour to hundreds of dollars a pour, because you have all different things up here. Why did you guys choose to kind of make this like what is this? Is this a whiskey and
it's I always tell people we're crazy whiskey people and bourbon people, if you haven't gathered that, based on the bottles on the shelf.
It's just based on the love, really. Sean and Jeff really specifically loved bourbon so much. Mm-hmm. I've learned it. We've had our bourbon dinner series that we started here back in 2019, and I've learned to really love bourbon. It's my favorite thing now. But I think just because we love it, we are kind of collectors of it, and that's a whole art form in itself. But it is a big thing right now. So again, playing into what do people want right now? What are they looking for? What are our guests going to want when they come? It's not something that I recommend typically our host couples to include, because they do get very expensive. But the guests that come here are really impressed and really love that we have those offerings for them. So. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's just beautiful.
Thanks.
I love when our couples sit up on the bar and get a cute little picture.
We do too.
Yeah. So you kind of touched on it, but you guys have other events that you host throughout the year. You mentioned a bourbon pairing dinner. Mm-hmm. I know you have a wine dinner coming up this weekend. Yeah. Just talk about those different events that you have.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Either one of us can talk about it. Those are super fun. That was, that kind of started, again, before I was here, but the idea behind that was anybody can come out here. They don't have to be a guest at a wedding or an event. That's a great opportunity to just explore the space if you've never been out here, but also enjoy really, really yummy food and pairings with either we do bourbon, wine, and then a couple years ago, I think it was 2021, we added the agave tequila dinner into the mix as well. So each dinner we partner with one of our preferred catering partners, which is Craig Hendeling. He's the in-house chef at Equipment Share and has a huge background of being a chef and running restaurants. And he really has a good, I guess I was going to say a good eye, but a good nose and palate for pairing whatever beverage we want to pair with food. And so, for example, for this wine dinner we have coming up this weekend, he sits down with us. We try several different wines. And while we're trying wines, he'll say, oh, I can taste this in this wine. This would go really great in this dish with these flavors. And it's just a really cool process to see. And so once that's all figured out, each dinner is usually it's 7 different wines, 7 different courses that's paired with each wine. And we do a different wine every wine dinner. We do a different set of bourbons every bourbon dinner, and so on. So it's never a repeat. So we have a pretty big following that we've developed, and it's been 5 years in the making for that.
Yeah. We do, for that reason, we limit, because of the way that Chef Craig does the food, we limit our guest size to 64. And as I say that, we just bumped it to 70 for this last event because they always sell out. And but keeping it at 64, we can do the process how we do, where Craig is cooking the food on site and it's all being served out at the table. We have live music at the event. Someone is presenting on either the bourbon or wine or tequila to talk about each course. Craig comes up and talks about why he paired them. So it's just it's like a 3.5 hour experience with live music and great food and great beverages. And like Kristen said, we did that because we're not open to the public, but we wanted to give the public the opportunity to come in and get to experience our space as well. So this has been good.
I'm still lobbying for my toddler
ticket.
I don't eat full people meals. I also do not drink. So basically I just would like charcuterie and water and lemonade. Thank you. Another thing that we do together for kind of another public event that is ticketed is our Valentine's Day, which is coming up next month. What is that? February 9th. And so, I mean, Brandi and I had that idea. Our first year was 2020. It was right before the world shut down. And we did with Craig, who we had just met.
That's how we met him.
That's how we met, was that charcuterie class that he had done for us. And we hosted 50 women.
About 50,
up in the bar, and just had a really fun charcuterie class. And then we skipped it in 2021 and then went back to it for the last 2 years. And this will be our 4th time doing it. And I'm excited.
It's grown into something. It's evolved each year.
This is the best and biggest.
This is the biggest.
Ever been.
It's great.
But each year I feel like it's been bigger and better, which is exciting.
It's because we learn and we pivot. We do what works and we don't do what doesn't work. So
and every year we come to the table with some ideas of this could be fun to do. Like our first year we did, that was really when charcuterie was kind of
getting new and big.
Coming to be a thing where people were interested in how can I put a cute little board together? We did a painting class one year. And then last year was the first time that we did stations. So we did the bouquet making, cocktail making, and then charcuterie again. But
we wanted it to be more free flowing so that it didn't feel like they had to sit down and do this activity for an hour of the time. They could just do more mingling and walking around and doing things at their own. I think that was our point in kind of switching that up to having stations where it wasn't as structured.
Not so rigid.
Yeah, it wasn't as structured. We had the bracelet, the permanent jewelry maker come in also. And so it was just fun. We did a lot of raffles. We do a lot of raffles for that.
Yeah.
And this year is going to be the biggest.
Yeah. I love our addition this year of having local shops and vendors setting up booths. I think that's going to be a really fun component that, I don't know, I'm always in a shopping mood, but if I'm out at an event and there's a fun pop-up booth and I can check stuff out, I think that's going to be so fun.
Yeah. And I think it's fun. And I know you guys are pretty passionate about supporting local businesses, and all of them are local businesses and women-owned businesses. And so I think that's really fun that we get to have women-owned businesses at this women's event. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. If you were not working at Cooper's Ridge, what would you want to be doing?
What I want to be doing?
Would want to be on a permanent vacation somewhere warm.
Girl.
What I want to be doing.
I feel that.
Oh, boy, that's tough.
Man.
My latest is that I'm going to be a farmer.
Okay. What are you going to farm? Animals, crops?
Well, I think I'm basically only going to take care of the animals.
Okay.
but I'm going to have a horse. I'm definitely going to have one of those Highland cows, which that is also an addition that I'm lobbying for here at Cooper's Ridge.
I have been too. Trust me, I have been too.
It'd be really
just
cute.
like 3 of them though.
Yeah,
they're so
a cute little photo opportunity.
The pond.
When we went to Ireland last year, I wanted to steal a cow really bad.
Yeah, I want a mini horse. I want chickens. So I'm basically only going to take care of the animals. I don't know what Scott Miner's going to do, but he'll figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
Farming. I got it. Delight.
He can teach
farm.
golf lessons on the farm. You'll
The
have space.
most delightful farm you've ever been
Most
to.
delightful farm. It's great. I'll come work for your farm. How about that? I did that in a past life too. I was a wild animal handler. So
I'm sorry, what?
I mean,
Brandi
tigers
has the
and
most
monkeys,
fascinating career history.
tigers
I think,
and
of
monkeys
anybody
and
I know.
bears and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure I can handle chickens and horses and whatever else you said.
You're not joking me right now.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I got pictures to prove it. I had 4
Wow.
tigers in my home for a bit of time, and a monkey once too in an apartment. So
What? Okay, this is a
I'm so
story
old
for
because
another
that
day.
sounds like- yeah, it is another day.
Did you work for
different
Joe
podcast.
Exotic?
I worked in lots of places. I worked down in Miami at Parrot Jungle and Gardens, and I also worked for a wildlife handler when I moved back to Nebraska. And we did part of what we did was for Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. It used to be Marlon Perkins, and then it was Jim Fowler. So when he would come to town to shoot things, we would do animal handling for him. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was this like your lifelong dream? Like you wanted to be a wild animal?
I just loved animals like you.
Oh yeah. See,
Just
Scott,
like you.
I could have
Just find
turned
a
out
way
a lot
to
differently. Okay, Kristen, what are you going to be
I don't
in your
know.
next career?
I want it to involve something like a tropical island. Like I love weddings and events, and it's hard to see myself not doing something adjacent to that, which I know is like we could go back to what I wanted to do when I was in kindergarten. I wanted to be a race car driver.
Oh,
So
like
you know,
that.
like Formula One. Brandi loves some Formula One.
I just wanted to drive fast, which if you've ridden with me, you know that still tracks.
That's true.
Yeah.
My
Love to
dad
drive
was a
fast.
race car driver. I wanted that too. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I think if I could like plan destination weddings or be at like some private island that had like an all-inclusive resort and just do all of their fun events and things, sign me up.
There you
Love
go.
to do that.
I love it. Well, you guys, thank you so much for being the very first guest.
Yay,
Thanks
you
for having us.
It was really fun.
Good. Thanks.
It's good.
That's all for now.
Cut.
Good.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's Pearls of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Miner with Delight Events. As always, you can find us all over the internet by following us on Instagram at Delight Events Mo and on Facebook. And please consider leaving us a review here for the podcast. Subscribe if you're on YouTube or on Spotify. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.